Drew Martin, my man. What are you looking at deals right now?
I am looking at deals right now.
Yeah, I heard you're like, yeah, give me 1 second. Don't go live. You're like, I went live. So
There you go. Right? There you go. Always looking at deals. You got to.
I know you're a hustler, man. So for everybody who doesn't know Drew Martin, right? I met Drew in Denver back in, I don't even remember what year it was, but I flew into Denver for an M&MI, and ever since then, me and you've flown all over the country, like
Yeah.
LA, Orlando. I visited you in Denver before you sold your condo. And since then, man, I mean, you've been on a tear. You've just been like expanding your mind and expanding your wallet, right? Just filling up the pocketbook, just loading it up,
Pretty much.
and your network. And
Yep.
So what do you got going on right now?
Right now, I mean, it's just taking control of North Carolina. I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, I met you in Denver. Now I live in Florida, and all my business is in North Carolina. So basically, my partner Josh Morse and I started Proper Home Sale in North Carolina almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
Been doing this real estate thing now, well, altogether for almost 2 decades, but going into the and doing a lot more of the fix and flip arena here in the last year.
Yep.
Kind of taking it by storm. It's been it's now coming on to taking it by storm. Like anything else, I mean, it was a process and getting things going. We put ourselves in the hole pretty quickly, about close to $40,000 in marketing expenses before we made a single dime. Popped our first deal and got every single thing back directly from it, and popped several more since then. So
You went 40 grand deep in credit cards.
Not credit
before.
cards, cash on hand. I
So
mean,
it's
we
cash.
had our own capital basically. I mean, that's the thing about the biggest joke I think in the real estate investment realm is no money. You don't need any money. You don't need anything to do this. I mean, it's such a joke. It's such a joke. These guys, these gurus sitting here telling you that you can do this all with no money. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, are there grassroots ways that you can do it? Yeah. But is anybody are many people willing to do what it takes to do that?
No.
Very, very little.
Very little. That's the thing. Like I'm always saying, well, you don't need to have your own money. It doesn't have to be yours.
Yep.
Like I'm doing a deal without mine, but I don't think people would do what it took to get this deal together. Right? No.
Right. Exactly.
Way.
Well, we do. I mean, we do our deals without our money. I mean, we have private lenders that we're working with, because before I really got into it as as my own thing, I was on the lending side basically. So I was lending money to people, and I was securing funding from other people who had the money. And then, putting a little fee on it and so on and so forth. And, so that's what kind of started the process. But no, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest joke I think that's out there is, this whole, you don't need anything. You can just do this and you can make 100 grand next week and whatnot. Now, can you? Sure. I mean, if everything aligned perfectly, you can. Yep. But the reality is it's not really like that. But the funniest part about it, though, I think is, you get all these phone calls from, because we post a lot of ads online. Yep. And I get phone calls every single week from a brand new wholesaler who starts asking me to be on their buyer's list, and they want to ask me some questions about the criteria. Yeah. And it's like, and it's gotten to the point now where it's like, let me guess, you took a course and they told you to go get a buyer's list.
Yep.
The only thing I could say, or the biggest piece of advice I could have to anybody that's doing this, is that finding a buyer is not hard. If you have a deal, the money is literally, it's like it's right, it's right there. It's right in front of you. If you have a deal, find a deal, because finding a deal is the hard part. Finding money, not a problem at all. Literally, not a problem at all.
I just taught that class, get the money, right?
Yeah.
And the whole point of get the money is to stop people from thinking about money and focusing on getting the deal.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's not the issue. I promise you.
Yeah,
the deal that matters.
Exactly. You bring us a deal, we'll buy it. I mean, we just bought one yesterday. We're going into contract today over one yesterday, a wholesale from Guy. I mean, he literally sent me a deal yesterday morning, and we're locking it up today, basically.
North Carolina?
North Carolina, yeah, because it's a deal. I mean, because it's a deal. I mean, someone's got a little bit of a gray area in it. It's got a lease that we're gonna have to honor for almost a year ahead. But I mean, we're literally picking it up. What we're thinking is 25% ARV.
Nice. It's a single family?
It's a single family.
It's kind of a long-term play.
Yeah, well, we're thinking that, I mean, we're still with the money, like we can borrow, like because of the network, because of the business that my partner has built and the name he's built for himself, we're getting money dirt cheap. I mean, we're getting money at 8%. which is unheard of in this realm. But
in this industry, right? Because outside of this,
Yeah.
this, when I talk about 8%, 10%, 12%, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you pay that much."
Right.
And you're like, "This is cheap, cheap money."
Exactly. I mean, it's dirt cheap. I mean, that's dirt cheap for what we're doing. So, I mean, we'll get a $25,000 loan from one of our lenders, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I mean, even with the place giving us $650 rent for the next year, we're still putting money towards the principal, basically, and we're going to just knock this thing out. But the reality of it is, like, this is a town. It's a little. This one's kind of in the outskirts, and we're looking at all the sales have been off market. But when you have a sale on market, this same house that they're saying is 60,000 ARV. We're thinking it's as is at 60,000, that it's realistically north of 100 grand because nothing goes on market there. Everything's sold off market, which is crazy. And the lady that we're buying, the actual investor we're buying it from, bought it for 50 grand in 2010, and we're buying it from her for 25 with a wholesaler in the middle of it. So
it's 2010 was the bottom of the market. So for you to pick it up this way, I mean, you know it's worth it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. We're thinking realistically. I mean, we can just bulletproof the floors, or whatever. Spend about $10,000 in a year from now on it. Jack the rent to $1,000 a month, and have it all paid off at that point, and it's just $1,000 income.
Now, does that market support the $1,000?
It does. It does. Okay. Everything that goes on rent there is $950 to $1,000 all day long. And there's nothing for rent, so I mean, we shouldn't have any issue.
These are 2 or 3 bedrooms. It's a single family home.
It's a 3-2 single family. So it's ideal.
Dude, you're gonna have to send me a picture of this thing. So it's a 3-2 single family for $25,000.
$25,000. The guy wanted 32.
He wanted 32.
Yep, you wanted 32, which even at 32, it was still, a deal basically. But we negotiated it down to 25.
And you're honoring a lease, which means he's still living in there, so it's livable.
So no, it's rented out, so it's non-owner occupied right now. But she has the tenants have been in there since 2012. So
it's livable. So it's not in like terrible shape.
Exactly. It needs a little work. I mean, we're thinking 10 to 15 grand basically, but there's potentially a mold issue that's in the bathroom. But I mean, that's really it. But I mean, you look at it. I'll send you the wholesale link for it. But that's why I said hold on a second, because the guy just sent me another one. That same guy, but this one is not really a deal. And neither did the other one he sent me. He sent me 2 yesterday. But
so not really a deal. What's this not really a deal look like?
Well, I'll show you the one from yesterday. He sent me a property. It looks like it used to be a daycare.
Yeah.
He's trying to sell it for $15,000. Yeah. And it needs 100 grand in work is what is what he's saying basically. And it's a single family and it's in the sticks, and we don't usually mess with those, but I mean, if they send them to us and it looks good, great.
Right.
Let's work.
You're gonna look at it, right?
Exactly. And he sent me another one, but I mean, I'm just from a quick glance when we just got started, but it doesn't look really good. But I'll have to take a deeper dive into that.
And what's crazy is you're in Florida right now, and you're looking at North Carolina. How often are you in North Carolina?
As needed, basically. I mean, as needed. I mean, we're going to have Josh is physically going to be living there being in January. Yep. I'm going to start doubling my time between here and there probably by March of next year.
And the intention of living there is truly just to really, really explode, really get feet on the ground, really pull out the network and get things going. So you can do it remotely. Yep. But feet on the ground is more powerful.
It is. I mean, the reality of it is, the bottom line is this. I mean, we don't go to a property until we have it locked up. Like, we're not going to, I mean, it really, but on a case by case here and there, sometimes you have to do it, but we're not going to do it unless it's negotiated and we've got things worked out and we've got a serious seller on our hands. Like, we're not window shoppers. We're the whole idea here is to go and get the deal done, basically. And you can lock most of them down over the phone. It's really not necessary to be there. We got them to send us pictures, and we can tell just by looking at the pictures, basically what's needed for the property. You do this enough times and you just, you can look at it and say, all right, that's 10 grand, that's 5 grand, that's this, that's that. And, this is what we can pay for it. And that's that. So if they're not going to send you pictures, they're not serious about selling their property to begin with, what it really comes down to.
So your system, I'm looking at it and I'm listening to you, and I know for the last year you've pretty much been primarily wholesaling, making money, like you've been really stacking cash. Why the shift to rentals? Right? I think I understand why.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we don't primarily go. Well, I mean, this is just what we're going to deal with for this one, for this next year. I mean, as far as rentals, I mean, yeah, we'll do a rental when the numbers are right, but we want them ridiculously right. You know what I mean? We want them so that even when it corrects, everything's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things. You see these guys in these deals that they're sending out with like 4% cap rates and whatnot, and you're going to be up shit's creek when this thing turns around, and it's going to turn around. We're already seeing a slowdown. We're significantly seeing a slowdown in our market. I'm sure you are too.
Same here. Slowdown here. Yep.
Yeah, so it's coming, basically. It's just a matter of when it comes, is what it all really comes down to. But how could it not? I mean, we're, statistically, our country has never been in this long of a bull market. And, the reality of it is that, everything that goes up must come down, and that's it. So
that's the truth of it.
Yep. So,
yeah, so we're seeing, wow, this conversation's really, Drew, this is how it always is with us, right?
Yep.
So, We're a little all over the place right now, but you're still looking at wholesaling. You're very cautious if you're going to pick up a rental. So one of the reasons I asked the question was, at some point, every time you wholesale, you've got to go wholesale again, right? Every time you do a deal, you got to go do another deal. Every time you do a flip, you got to go do another flip. What is your strategy to shifting over to passive eventually? Are you waiting till the downturn to start buying some of the rentals, or you're keeping an eye out? It's just not super aggressive right now.
It's all about the numbers. It's the bottom line. I mean, if the numbers make sense now, sure. You know what I mean? Like we're in discussions, working on a building right now. It's $1 million purchase basically. Nice. But realistically, once we fix it up, it should be 1.7 all day long. So, I mean, the numbers are there. We'll see if it actually goes through basically. But I mean, it's all about the numbers. That's, that's the bottom line. But yes, I mean, right now, more than anything else, it's about staying cash heavy. And, and being ready to pounce, when the time comes, basically. I mean, we are actually taking down 85% of the ones that we see now. I'll tell you offline, I hate to say this, but I mean, I'll tell you offline about where we're actually selling them to, but we found a source that is paying insane dollars for it. So,
no kidding.
And then that's, I mean, reality of it is like, we just did one, for instance, well, I mean, I can show you pictures of it, but I can send you some pictures of it, but long story short, we bought it for 115. The guy who bought it it was built brand new in 2006, $105,000 purchase. We bought it for 115, spent $10,000 on it, and then sold it to the person we sold it for 165.
Oh, wow.
And they now have it listed for 185.
Yeah.
And we would be shocked if they get more than 165 for it. What they gave us, we'd be absolutely shocked.
So they don't have a sustainable model. They're overpaying right now, but they're going to end. They're not able to actually move these things.
Yep. Exactly. But the thing is that you've got to be able to own them to be able to sell them to them. You can't wholesale it. Is what it comes down to. So it takes a lot of the people out of the market that are doing this. But I mean, then again, the vast majority of the people that are doing this don't have a clue as to what they're doing. I mean, it's over the course of the past year, I've got people like, I'm looking at this deal. I'm like, how do you see this as a deal? Oh well, in about 2 years it'll be worth this much money. Like 2 years.
Yo, I won't be dealing with these in 2 years. I'm on other deals by then.
Yep. Usually, I mean, I could probably. Let me see if I have this in here right now, but. I'll show you something funny. Like, I mean, it's gotten down. My partner told me to do this, and it totally makes sense. But let me see if I. Yep. Well, I mean, I can see this now. The list. If you can see this.
Yep.
They're saved in my phone as rookie wholesaler 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's just gotten to the point that if they call, it's like, nope, no need to answer that phone call.
Yep.
I'll listen to the voicemail or send me an email or whatever.
Shoot me a text, shoot me an email. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because hey, listen, I get it. They're just green. They don't know what they're doing, basically. And that's the biggest thing is that you've got some of these quote unquote gurus that are out there that realistically they're not even doing this anymore.
Right.
They're just selling courses and building a big name for themselves with that and painting this big picture, but they're not in the trenches doing what's being, what needs to be done.
And then they're from California or they're from Miami or whatever, and you're in Ohio. The numbers are not the same, right? Like they're telling you these numbers, but you're looking at a completely different product. Like that's not a deal. You got to understand how a deal actually works in that market.
Exactly. And they don't. Yep. They don't.
I like that you're doing North Carolina. So my buddy Mitch Durfee, I don't know if you've met him. He's down, I think you have. He's down in Miami as well. Or he's Fort Lauderdale. He's in that ballpark. But
I think he actually knows my partner.
He probably does. Mitch is a networker, right?
Yep.
So he just bought a 10 unit in North Carolina. I think he closed last week. So a lot of my friends are in North Carolina right now, and I'm starting to get the itch. I'm like,
Yep.
I mean, I got multis. I'm doing okay here.
Yep.
But I'm listening to your prices, and
Yep.
I know the weather's better. I know all day
It's
the
a
weather's
lot
better.
better. It's a lot better.
What
A lot
is the
better than it's
allure?
here.
What is the allure? What brought you to North Carolina? Why are you staying there? Why are you actually developing a business there? It looks like you're really putting feet in the ground.
Yeah, well, I mean, really what it comes down to is, I mean, again, it's all about the numbers. I mean, this is all a numbers game. And what it really came down to is looking at the trends of the last market crash. The market in which we're in, primarily is Raleigh, North Carolina. And Raleigh, like Denver, Colorado, sustained its value when the market crashed. So
right.
Whereas being down here in South Florida, if you're down here in South Florida and you're doing all this stuff, it went bonkers in the wrong direction, and it's going to do it again, is what it comes down to. The same thing can be said about Las Vegas and California.
I was just going there.
Yeah, all these places that have boomed, again, they're going to crash again just as much. Whereas in this market, the growth has been sustainable.
Yep.
And just like the last crash that was there, I mean, they lost about, I think, 6 to 10% value over the whole crash. Whereas where I am right now, we're talking like 50 to 70% decreases in value. So
in Vegas was 70%. So
yeah,
it's
insane, absolutely insane. And I look at anytime I hear somebody bought a house, just recently in this area, I'm like, sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. I mean, but the prices that people are paying again. And, right now it's less expensive to rent than it is to purchase almost anywhere in the country. So,
yeah, it honestly, well, it's
still rents are ridiculous, but
if you're doing a single family, yes. If you're doing a multifamily, like my agents, my team, my wholesalers still buying multis. Like one just put one under agreement for $300,000, right?
Yeah.
So you think $300,000, that's a big mortgage. But they're pulling in $3,000 a month from the rents.
Right.
So it's under FHA financing, you're not putting a lot of money down. Your ROI is actually pretty high.
Yep.
So your first deal, you can still get away with it. You're actually living rent free.
Yeah.
Instead of paying rent. So there's some markets out there that still make sense.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. Like if you were to buy that same 300,000, because a single family is the same price. You buy the same 300,000 single family, dude, you're spending $2,000. It's more than what rent is. Rent is cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, you're exactly right. It's all across the country right now, though. What do you see? So actually, I gotta mention. Have you gotten this yet? I wrote a book called
I know,
you
were supposed to send me an autographed copy. I didn't get it. I don't know.
Dude, I'm gonna come down and hand deliver this thing to you.
I thought I was getting one in the mail. I've been waiting for it. I check the mailbox every day, and it just doesn't show up.
You got to go to Amazon.com, and then you click the button, and then you send a donation to me.
Is that how it's done?
No, I'm going to bring one down for you next time I'm down there. When you come up, you're coming up in, what is it, sometime in the spring or something?
I was up there actually in August, but on the Cape. But,
so next time you're up here, I'll make sure you get one, or next time I'm down there, I'll get you one.
Yep. I think you'll be down here before I go up there again. It was an interesting trip, but that's for another day.
Yeah, we'll save it. I'm going to Orlando, but you're nowhere near Orlando. You're like 4 hours away, right?
Yeah, 3 hours away from Orlando.
3 hours from Orlando. All right.
Yep.
So the market's shifting. We're seeing that you've adjusted markets because it makes more sense for you. What do you see for the future of Drew Martin the next 2 years? Because Gary Vee's been talking about 2021 as the year of the crash. A lot of people have been saying, a lot of the gurus I know, I'm sure you have an idea of where we're going. And I have my opinions. What do you think for the next 2 to 5 years do you see your business?
Well, the market's going to dictate where it's going to go. I mean, basically more than anything else, what our biggest goal right now is to stay cash heavy as much as we can until that actual crash takes place. And it's, I hate to bring politics into this, but I think our political, arena is going to dictate what's going to take place. There are a lot of interesting ideas that are being put out there, but what's being put out there is going to destroy our economy, literally, if that ends up taking place. And that's, basically, I think that depending on what happens in November of next year, we may actually sustain this, this growth for another couple of years, or at least stay where we are.
Yeah.
or we could start a serious nosedive at that point, basically.
Right.
I mean, it's just,
So this could be controversial. As a real estate investor, I
right.
stay out of politics, but
Right.
and religion. But I will say that Trump's going to get in. I don't think that's political. That's just a fact. I don't think there's no competition, right? He's
Right.
marketed way too well. So assuming we know that around an election, the stock market dips, everybody gets nervous and concerned, and that will happen again.
Yep.
Are you doing anything to prepare for that? Like, because we know there's going to be a dip right before the election next year. Real estate, we're not really hit with that too hard. We don't really notice it because it's such a long sporadic business. Maybe the agents and the wholesalers will feel it a little bit.
Right.
But as far as like our flips and everything, those are longer term projects. It'll be in and out by the time we're done.
Right.
So what have you, like, in any way, like, tried to capitalize on that? Is there anything that you're looking at? This is just something I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah, I mean, really, all it comes down to, I think, is buying right, and seeing it taking place and buying right, and I've taken the opportunity and taking advantage of it, basically, because just a little over a year ago, the same thing kind of happened where the market kind of dried up for a bit.
February, a year ago, I remember it, absolutely.
Yep. And a lot of people got stuck with properties, and I know somebody like in North Carolina, one of the biggest guys out there that we know, he's sitting on 15 properties right now. They're not moving, basically.
Yep.
We have one that actually, the same situation is just not moving, and the numbers were all there for it, but it's not going anywhere. So, housing right now, we're seeing slowdowns. I mean, we're seeing a big slowdown in
pockets.
What's that?
It's like pockets of slowdowns, right?
Yeah. Yep. So I think national. I think we're down. I read something the other day, but talking about the difference between this and last year at the same time as far as new builds, and it's pretty significant. But rates are still really freaking low. So while that happens, we should be able to sustain this. But it all comes down to the markets and what's going to take place. And at the end of the day, but all these people are talking about recessions and this, that, and the other thing. But at the same time, people are doing pretty well right now, so who knows?
It's like, where's it coming from? It's got to come from somewhere.
Exactly. I know, exactly. Like, something's got to happen for it to take place, and we're just kind of in a wait and see type situation, basically. We want to do everything. Basically, is you make money when you buy in this business, is what it comes down to.
That's it.
And you got to buy right, and that's really what it comes down to, and that's really what we want to do, is just buy right. We'll wholesale other things. The marketing that we're doing is generating about 50 opportunities a month for us right now. Awesome. Now, realistically, out of those 50, 40, 45 of them we can't do anything with, basically. And really, we've got realtors that we're passing them off to, and if we can get something from it, great. And if that can pay for marketing fees, fantastic. But we're looking to do 4 or 5 of them a month that we'll take down on our own, and flip. Either do minimal work and send it right off to a specific investor. Or as little as possible. We're not really looking to take on big projects right now. We'd prefer not to do them at all, really.
I'm with you.
We prefer not to do them at all. We don't want to get, caught with our pants down, so to speak, in this situation.
I had an opportunity to do a 24 unit building, right? It's rebuild, remodel, and it's probably a year worth project. And most of the money's there. It's all like tax credits and stuff, and a good friend of mine's running it. And I was like, dude, I don't want to step in on this because I'm tempted.
Yep.
It's a year-long project of no money for an entire year.
Yep.
A big note on the other end. It's just not attractive. But I am picking up 21 condos, supposed to close tomorrow. Those 21 condos, I'm going to it's basically one purchase to just fire off a whole bunch of sell, half. That's not, to me, a project, because it's just, hey, to close it, it's ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
New build, new construction, it's too risky right now. I'm with you, man.
Yeah, I completely agree. Some of the best deals you're ever going to have are the ones you walk away from, is really one of the biggest things. We have a good example of that, that we just walked away from. We got our first bad review online from somebody, and all she did was put 1 star and no comment or anything. But it was like, we bent over backwards for this lady, to do everything we could. But, it ended up being like, listen, we can't do it for what you're asking after you strung us along for the past 5 months, basically. And, and then, of course, she got a little angry about it. But the reality of it is, this is the type of person who will end up letting their house go into foreclosure because they don't see what's going on in front of them, and the issues that are there. But, and we had to, we're not going to buy it unless we're going to buy it right. That's what it comes down to.
At the end of the day, you say it this whole time, buy it right, buy it right, buy it right. What you're talking about is you got to be able to sustain this thing. If you throw a tenant in there, you can still carry this thing. Like no matter
Right.
what, it's got to be able to be carried. And so in that case, it's not a risk.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Or be in a position where you can still dump it, and not lose money is what it really comes down to, and those are the deals that we're buying, I mean, they're harder to come by now. They're few and far between.
Every 50 appointments, you're taking 5. So
Right.
you're putting a massive amount of effort out there.
Right.
For 5 deals.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But they're worth it. I mean, our average deal is about $38,000. So, I mean, it's a nice return when we get them, but it's just, it's a lot, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And the follow-up is really the biggest thing. I mean, the follow-up game has to be relentless in this business.
It is. All the money is in follow-up. I honestly, my first appointment, if I don't hit them, I've always been bad at this, right? My first appointment, if I don't hit them, I'm done, right? Mm-hmm. But I'd say that 70% of the money comes from the follow-up.
It does.
Right. Yep. It's all like I hit that first appointment, my team is going making that money. Right. Yep. Like if I didn't hit it there, in the past I used to let it go. Mm-hmm. And now the team's bringing far more than my first appointment.
Yep.
Right. They're just killing it.
Yep.
So because they make the phone calls, they stay in touch, the emails, the text. So what is your number one source of lead gen right now? If you're willing to give it out, what is the one thing that's making all your money?
It's making all of our money right now. We're still pretty old school, so we're cold calling, and we've got a team of cold callers that are pounding the phones full time every single day. So we got 6 people actually in the Philippines that are doing that.
I was going to ask. These are VAs in the Philippines, cold calling. Yep.
Yep. And then direct mail has been not what it was before, but we did get. I mean, it's more than paid for itself, but it's not what it was before. So
I found the same thing with direct mail. It's slowed down for us. It hasn't been the best ROI.
Yeah, we're not going to continue after the current campaign that we have right now. I mean, it's paid for itself and whatnot, but it's not what it was. But cold calling has been. We were doing voicemail drops for a while and stuff like that. I mean, we got a deal out of it, and again, I mean, it paid for itself, but for the amount of stuff that was going on. It's not really worth it.
The logistics, the mess of it just didn't justify.
Exactly. Not only that, I mean, ultimately, I mean, we have to see what happens with the laws of this stuff. Like down here in Florida, it's completely illegal to do it, So when we're pulling lists and it ends up with somebody in Florida and they're dropping voicemails to them, like it's not a good situation. You can get get in a lot of trouble for it. So cold calling, sticking by the rules of the do not call list and whatnot, we've been, we're good with that. I mean, we have been doing a lot of kind of zombie searches. So we've been, we've been looking at ones that we know have been flipped in the area and hitting those areas surrounding them basically.
Yep.
We got our VAs while they're making calls or skip tracing for us all day long basically. Yep. So we got Ben Verified is what we use, which has been working out really well. And actually, I mean, it's dirt cheap basically, and we're paying $10 a month for it per account, which is supposed to be. It was like $30 a month, but when I first got it, the VA that was going to use it couldn't VPN into it. Yeah. So they canceled it, thinking we weren't going to be able to use it. Then I got an email back saying $10 a month for billed twice a year, and realized so $120 a year per account, and sign back up, and then they figured out the VPN and now they can use it. So
the secret is buy it, cancel it, and reactivate.
That's a lot of times that is the secret of a lot of things. Yep. It really is. It's worth it to sign up.
I'm all set.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't want this anymore. And then they come back at you and drop their pants. It's like, okay. So we use that, and it's been pretty reliable. It's been working out very well. So
very nice. Very nice. How's the lady, man? How's she doing?
She is doing awesome. She's doing amazing.
I noticed you're in a new house. There's a new background back there. What do you got going on?
Yeah, well, gosh, a lot has taken place over the course of the last year. Basically, there's been a lot of stuff that has taken place. She sold the big house. Basically, I sold all of my property, almost 2 years ago now. And we had moved we were in a condo. Then they wanted to sell their condo, which is a smart move on their part. But so we got out and moved into another place that we're going to call the Dog Pound, basically. I don't know, did I tell you this story about that?
No.
So we went to go, really nice townhouse, it's like 2,000 square feet, very, brand new, almost, or 2 years old. And when we went to go see it, it was like 6 o'clock at night or something like that. And, you know, we heard two dogs barking. Like, it was so, you can picture if you walk out the front door, across the street was like 30-foot hedges and a wall, and you couldn't see what's on the other side, right? And heard two dogs barking, you know, and we're like, oh, whatever, we got 3 dogs, you know, what does that matter, you know?
Right.
And then we're moving in, and all of a sudden it was like, what the heck is going on over there? There was literally a dog breeding facility right on the other side of the wall.
Yep.
60 dogs.
60
dogs on the property, basically. So they put them inside at night. So they probably had just put them in when we went to go see the place. Nightmare, just absolute nightmare. And then, we, long story short, we basically got a letter from an attorney, and they got us out. So, you know,
nice.
It cost us $300 for the letter, and then the guy just freaked out and he let us out. So,
yeah,
we moved into a condo over here, which, you know, we're going to do for the next, until March, and then we're moving down to the beach, basically, at that point. But going to continue to rent down here. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to buy at this point. So
I'm 100% with you, man. In that market, Mitch is doing the same thing. Another buddy of mine, Mitch, is up here. He's from Miami as well. It doesn't make sense to own down here. You know, he's buying in Worcester. He was literally up here. I was in Newton last night at a networking event, and Mitch is from Worcester. He's investing in Worcester.
Really?
Like, I can't make my money down there. Like, I got to buy rentals. They're up here.
Yeah, exactly.
He's doing flips up here. Like, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
It's crazy. Like, the guys from Florida are investing back here, but living in the weather, renting where you live and owning somewhere else.
Yep, absolutely. It just makes sense.
I'm on that strategy. I am seriously catching on.
It just makes sense, the bottom line, and be nimble. You know what I mean? Always be ready to make changes. And
you just moved a couple times in this last couple of years.
Exactly. It just makes
Denver,
sense.
Miami, one house, next house, condo, move. Like,
Yep. But yes, Suzanne's killing it. Basically, she's actually working on a couple big things. But she pretty soon is going to have a YouTube channel that somebody's going to be promoting her for. That are looking to get it to 1 million subscribers like pretty quickly, which is
cool.
Pretty insane. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on. We've been crazy busy, just doing our thing. She's been all over the place. We're going to Machu Picchu in 2 weeks.
Nice.
Should be a lot of fun,
dude. So you're making money, you're hustling, you're helping people, you're doing houses, you're all over the place, relationship's great, you're moving, you're going to Machu Picchu. That's pretty cool. It's not bad. From where I met you a while back, you're still the same happy guy. Still, you know, every time we meet up, we're still having the same fun, and same great conversations. It's just different topics, making more money, having more fun. So definitely cool, man. You know, they say money changes you, but it has not changed you whatsoever. If anything, like literally, you've stayed exactly the same, just you're doing way cooler stuff in life.
Exactly. That's the bottom line.
I love it, man.
Yep.
So what book would you advise somebody to read? I know you've never been a huge book guy, but if you were to give one away, what would you say?
If I was going to give one book away, that's tough to say. I've got the whole shelf of ones that I've read over here.
Yeah. Like what do you got, like 10 over there?
There's definitely more than 10. I've done a lot of reading since going on that journey, basically.
Really?
Geez, it's tough to say. I mean, which is the one that I like the most? The E-Myth, I think, is probably one of the greatest books.
That's a good call. All right. I got that one.
A little bit different than what everybody else is saying.
Over there, yeah.
There it is, yep.
No kidding. The E-Myth. And that's been because you're at a very systems point in your business, and it's just, how do I put all these things together, franchise out, scale, and get to more and more pulling yourself out of the business, working on it instead of in it.
Exactly. Cool, and that's the ultimate goal. I mean, that's really why we're going to put down roots where we are, and ultimately get an office of people that we can start focusing on the bigger projects while having other people deal with the little ones for us. You know, I mean, and cherry picking what we want to do, and then having the others deal with the rest. You know,
dude, I love it, man. So Drew, I'm gonna add some links to the bottom of the YouTube video. And what is the easiest way, if somebody has a deal that they want to send you, what is the easiest way to contact you? Is there a link, a place to go fill out forms, or you want to give your cell phone? What's the easiest way for people to get in touch with you if they want to do a deal with you, like help you make money?
Sure. So they can find us online at properhomesale.com. They can email me at Drew, D-R-E-W, at properhomesale.com.
Yep.
Follow me on Instagram at Drew Martin, REI. And you can reach me in those places.
Very cool, man. So shoot me a text as soon as we've closed this up. Shoot me a text with those links. I'll add them into the tube.
Okay.
Guys, when you have a choice, always invest with the best. Drew Martin, keep killing it, man. I'll see you soon, brother.
You as well, brother. Let's talk soon. Later.
Definitely. Later.